In this video I'll be reviewing a 180 scale model kit of a Mitsubishi Fuso MP37 Aerostar from Aoshima. The top of the box has a photo of such a city bus in real life, which is used by the city of Osaka. Here you can see how the model will look like. This model has steering front wheels and it can tilt to either side to mimic the kneeling feature of the actual bus. On the other side you can see the recommended tools for easy assembly and the colors from Mr. Hobby that are needed for this model. As this is a 180 scale model, you can expect the parts to be quite small, so it's not really a model for beginners. Now let's open the box. As you can see, the box is not particularly filled to the brim with parts. Let's take out the contents for inspection. Here we have a bag containing one sprue with transparent parts. Next, we have one bag containing two sprues with what looks like mostly interior parts. The third bag contains one sprue which seems to contain the chassis and the wheels, among other things. The fourth parts bag contains the outer body of the model. Then there are the assembly instructions, which are in Japanese and English. Finally, there is a bag which contains the decal sheet and a sheet with paint masking stickers. Now let's have a closer look at the contents. The sprue with the transparent parts contains the windows, door windows and front and rear lights. The details are very crisp and the transparency of the parts is actually quite good and looks very clean with no flash at all. Let's get the next sprue out of its bag. As you can see, it contains the main chassis parts. The tire parts consist of two halves for each wheel and are separate from the wheel hubs. There are also the wheel suspension parts, the rear axle kneeling mechanism and the driver's cabin. Here you can see the inner floor of the bus with the mounting points for the seats. Now let's have a look at the bag containing two sprues. The first sprue holds the seats and benches, as well as the air conditioning unit, some of the gripping bars and a wheel arch flare for the left rear wheel arch. Like with the previous sprues, the parts on this one also look pretty spot on. The seats don't have much detail, but they won't stand out since those will be part of the interior. The second sprue holds the rest of the gripping bars, the doors, the side mirrors, parts for the driver compartment and ventilation domes for the roof. It looks like there is only a very small amount of flash, but overall the parts look okay. Even though the parts are small and delicate, for someone with moderate experience this shouldn't pose too much of a problem since the amount of tiny details is relatively low. The last remaining part is the main body shell of the bus. The window sections have runners that are there to ensure a well-molded part and need to be removed. For the same reason, the door openings also have those runners. The surface has delicate recessed lines to simulate the various panels, which look pretty nice. In fact, the overall detail of this part is of pretty high quality. Here you can see the mounting points in the roof for the interior gripping bars. With that, all the model parts are accounted for. Now let's have a look at the sheet with the masking stickers and the decal sheet. With the masking stickers you can mask the parts of the windows that need to be free from paint. With this method, you can achieve a clean paint job for the windows. The stickers match the corresponding surfaces and need to be applied firmly to prevent paint seeping under the stickers. Here we have the decal sheet and its protective paper. The decals include the green exterior trim, the matrix panels that indicate line number and destination and serial markings that correspond with the livery of the city buses in Osaka. There are also detailed interior decals that can be applied on the backside of the backrest of each seat, as well as several interior labels, but also several license plate decals and other labels that can be found on the exterior. Most of the decals are quite small, so you may need a pair of tweezers when you apply them. Now let's take a look at the assembly instructions. The front page has the usual information you see with every model kit. The instructions fold out into a long sheet. First we see the painting scheme and where to apply the exterior decals. The used colors are indicated by two types of codes, white squares that refer to paints from Aqueous Hobby Color and black squares that refer to paints from Mr. Hobby. During the assembly, only the Mr. Hobby color codes are used, but the corresponding colors from Aqueous Hobby Color are identical, only the codes are different. With this model you can choose between 4 buses and 3 bus lines, or you can opt for an out-of-service version. In Stage 1, 2 and 3, the wheels are assembled. In Stage 4, the chassis and axles are put together. In Stage 5, the wheels are attached to the chassis, and in Stage 6 and 7, the seats and bench at the rear are glued into place. In Stage 8 and 9, the rest of the seats and benches are assembled into position, and in Stage 10, the driver's cabin is assembled and is glued into place, together with the front bumper. On the reverse side, we continue with Stage 11, where we install the front and rear lights as well as the interior air conditioning unit. In Stage 12, the gripping bars are glued into the corresponding mounting points in the roof. Next, the exterior air conditioning unit, ventilation domes and windows are assembled in Stage 13 and 14. Here, the masking stickers are used, but it is recommended to paint the windows before the assembly. In Stage 15, the body and chassis are joined together and the rear door is put into place. In the final stage 16, the mirrors and front doors are assembled. Here you can choose between open or closed front doors. Lastly, we see the parts list where the unused parts are marked in gray. It looks like only 2 parts are not being used. And there you have it. With this, the review of this Japanese city bus model kit from Aoshima is complete. It looks like a nice little kit. It is not too simple, but not too complicated either, and the masking stickers are great in helping to make this model look very nice. The parts are rather small, but the overall quality looks pretty good, and the kneeling function is a nice touch. I hope you enjoyed this review.